it's been really easy for me to focus on what's been lost as opposed to what they had, for those 2 years where we lived on the land with our community. So many really important lessons that got embedded into their soul and into their spirit.
I think one of the things, especially Sika, your son, one of the things that I really admire about him so much is his imagination and creativity.
Oh yeah.
And for me, there's no doubt that having that space, physical land to explore and create on has imprinted him in that way, and that he's going to carry that imagination and creativity with him anywhere he goes. So it doesn't matter if that's in suburbia or in a city or rural area, whatever. It becomes part of his imprint.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think that thinking about the the input, what is the input that we are giving our children? Because I'm not too sure if there's a right or a wrong when it comes to the input, but it's like the raw materials we're giving them to work with, to exercise their imagination, to explore their creativity and their sense of adventure. And yeah, especially for Carrie and I know for you and Demetra and just our community of people, it feels very important to have these raw materials of relationship with nature, relationship with life outside of the human world, and relationship with spirit and the ethereal that is really important. And it's cool when you see evidence of that. I think I was just telling you the other day about how Itzy spontaneously was playing and she recreated one of the ceremonies that we do as a community in a really fun and silly way, but also very heartfelt. Like she was like, I want to create this right now. And there's a memory that she drew on from, even though she's just about to be 4. She's doing that. So those are those moments of like, all right, we're doing something,
Doing something
doing
right.
something right here.
Yeah. Right on, man. Well, yeah, it's like time and space, or that feeling of spaciousness. There's so many things that go into that equation, right? Obviously there's childcare, right? Or just spending time with our children.
Yeah.
There's providing, especially if that's not in alignment with the mission, or, our mission purpose is not the way we're providing. There's that, there's spending time with our partners and, being husbands and lovers. There's our friends and maintaining those relationships. There's a lot that go into the equation of how I allocate and use my time.
Yeah. Well, it makes me think of another conversation we've been having this week and that I've reflected a lot about over the years is I had to become really creative when it comes to problem solving, because all of those things just require time. And if I compartmentalize my life to where here's my friend relationships, here's my family relationships, here's my work, here's my play, here's my solo time, if they're this more separate that they are, visually speaking, there's a lot of distance I need to travel to get to any one of them. So if I can become more clever over time at taking these parts of my life that were separate and compartmentalized and starting to blend and weave them together, then there's less distance I have to travel. It accounts for that extra energy that it would take to honor all of those things, because anybody who's a parent out there knows that time becomes a precious resource immediately and doesn't really stop until the kids are on their own. That's a large chunk of life. If we're saying 20 years plus or minus, depending on how many kids you have, that's at least a fifth or a quarter of your life expectancy.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of people I've observed, they get stuck in this, and some things they end up just falling out of orbit. As the distance between them grows. I think of men who have to quote unquote escape their families to go have their joy, whether it's a weekend with the boys or it's going to a game or something. But the men that I see that are able to artfully blend these really important parts of their lives together are the ones who are able to keep it intact for longer.
Yeah.
And I wonder how many fathers and husbands and family men out there are cleverly designing their lives that way.
Yeah. Yeah, we had a couple episodes ago, I had our good friend Emiliano Acevedo on here, and the word that he brought into the space that has really been echoing in my head is harmony. And that's like, I hear you and saying all these different aspects and elements, if they're far from each other, we spend all this time traveling from one place to another when it comes to, the different domains in our life that we want to be, I guess, successful at. So harmony is the bringing all those things closer so they really intertwine and affect one another in a positive manner. And I really love that word, and I feel like, what else is it that we could be seeking other than harmony in our lives, which is, all these aspects and domains feeding into one another.
I think about the journey for me of enduring that time, because there's a lot of frustration sprinkled in there along the way. Lots of frustration, anger, like things that I never thought would show up for me as a dad with a son. I remember before my child was ever born thinking, oh, well, he'll pop out and he'll sit on my lap while I meditate in the morning, and we'll do our morning exercises together. I'm like, what the hell did I think? Yoda was going to come out of my wife's vagina? But that's the naivete of life. And I just think about how important it was for me to endure, but also the reason that I think he's so willing to venture into the space with me now is two things. Number one, I never gave him a reason to feel so unsafe with me that he wouldn't trust me anymore. I always, and that's such an important reference point, is safety and trust. It's like the only language that kids know how to speak at that age. And there's certainly times where I've scared my son, I've raised my voice, I've made him feel unsafe with me. And there's always been that restoration of that. And I know that on a deep level, he feels safe and secure with me because there's evidence of it. When his mom's not there, he cuddles up with me. Sometimes he wants me to put him to bed. And when I'm in there, he's scared or doesn't feel good. He wants something from me. So I know it's like, okay, at least he still trusts me.
Yeah.
And with that trust, it makes everything that we're stepping into in the second season of his life possible. So, and that's a whole topic I suppose we could talk about. I think that there was a lot of opportunity for me to let my own anger and frustration get the better of me and affect the trust in our relationship, that maybe that wouldn't be as achievable at this stage. So that's one thing. The second thing is, I think we've done a really good job of surrounding him with other examples of men, so that it's not just, oh, this is what dad does as a man, but it's like, oh, this is what a lot of good men do around my father. I mean, how early in his life was he chopping wood with you and I?
Yeah.
And going out to gather wood for ceremonies and just doing guy things with us and witnessing his uncles do things that are similar to his father. So I think that also has built a narrative for him of what it looks like for him to be a good man. And I could see it through his eyes right now. It's like he just wants to go and practice what he needs to be that version of a man now.
Yeah.
So it's that combination of, he trusts me to be his, let's say, his lead guide into that. And he's got these other guides around him, this amazing community of men that love him and have watched him develop and grow, who he knows he can also lean on for support. So I know that's so core to the way that you and I both see raising sons and boys in this world, is creating more of that. And it doesn't always need to look like the way we did it, but I'd say the same foundational pieces.